Hello and welcome. My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and today we are working with the Rock Legend kit. This is from the kits collection from Stampin' Up, and I am also going to be making alternate cards with this card kit. So the Rock Legend card kit is only $14. It actually does not have a stamp set included, so I will be substituting some of my stamp sets from Stampin' Up to make some alternate cards. But we are going to make two of the original cards with some slight altering on the one card, and then we're going to get into alternates. But these are all of the cards. I just wanted you to have an idea how you could go from Rock Legend to bringing in some of these other stamp sets. So my concept behind today's cards and alternate projects, this is the instruction sheet, by the way. So if you are familiar with me or with the videos that I create or the cards that I make, a lot of times I make alternate cards with our paper pumpkin kit, which is a little bit different than Kids Collection. I'll get into that in a minute, but you can see that the instruction sheet is very similar in its concept. Visual, very easy to do. You just grab the pieces. The Rock Legend kit is a kit that you can make the cards right out of the box. You don't need anything extra to make them. But if you want to add your own touches or embellishments or bring in your own stamps or slightly change the themes, you could do that too. Rock Legend is such an incredible value. And this is kind of niche, right? Where we're, really appealing specifically to people in our lives that love music, or maybe they're in a band, or maybe they're learning, or, what have you. But I am also going to be doing alternates where we're focusing on saying thank you to our helpers. That would be teachers, aides, therapists. You could make this for whoever you want to. I'm going to show you a couple of the different stamp sets that I brought in. If you want to thank helpers that are doctors, nurses, paramedics, firefighters, you could turn it into whatever you want. Now here, what I'm showing you is that some of the die cuts that come inside the Rock Legend kit are actually in another language, which I did not realize when I bought it. So that is one of the reasons why we start getting into alternates, or I should say that's one of the reasons why I start getting into making alternate cards. Now here, I am just testing out how I can block out these letters because I don't need anything in another language. And I had started with a Stampin' Blend in basic black, and I felt like that wasn't covering it enough. So now I'm bringing in my Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, and I'm just playing here. I'm just trying to see, can I cover this up? Do I need to put a layer over it? This is one of the things that I get into when I start unboxing a kit. I don't know if it's the same way for you, but I do like to explain my process to you when you see me sort of working through this. So the simplest thing to do if you find yourself in a situation where you're not going to use every piece, or if something is in another language, is to turn it over. Just use the other side, right? But we'll get into that. So for now, what I'm trying to do is take a look at the original layouts here. We're going to make the original cards, one of each, before we start changing things. But I started changing things right away. I removed that layer because I knew I wanted to use it for something else. Now, this is my bone folder. I do recommend getting one of these. It gives a nice crisp edge to your cards when you need to do a nice clean fold on those, but you could also do that with other items that you have at home. But if you're going to be crafting regularly, the bone folder is a fabulous tool. Now, here you're getting a really good look at everything that comes in the kit. We have these vellum accents, we have these die cut pieces, we have adhesive dots, as well as our Stampin' Dimensionals. We have these great three-dimensional embellishment stars. They're in a matte red. Real red is the shade on that. And it really brings these elements in to make a fun, sort of funky rock theme card. The drumsticks and the guitar are fabulous. I actually got the Rock Legend kit originally to make a card for my uncle, but I am going to have to turn it into a belated birthday and get well for him. The cards that I'm doing today are a little bit different, so I do have leftover pieces. I'll do that on another occasion, but just know you can swap these out. So here is very close to the original card. I just removed that black layer so that you're seeing a little bit more of that white pre-printed background there. And now this second card that we're going to make that says "You Rock," this one I actually stuck to the instructions. And when you look on the very front sheet there of the instruction sheet, you can see that there is a coordinating envelope that is sitting with the card, and that those envelopes have patterns on the inside. We're going to be working with those too. So we will be getting into this, and we will be making ideas. But before I go too far into this video, if you're still here, if you're interested in alternate projects with kit collection kits, please let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate your feedback. You guys are so great about, giving feedback, and I can't tell you how much it helps, because it helps me plan future videos and future content. Typically, I only work with paper pumpkin kits, but I have been loving the kits collection kits for this year so much that I really would like to feature them more often if that is something that you are interested in as well. I just like making alternate projects from kits. It's just one of the things that I do well with and that I like to make. I love the value of kits, but I'll explain a little bit more about the difference here with Paper Pumpkin and Kits Collection. Now, when I do create alternates, one of the first things I usually bring in is my own adhesive, and this is the Stampin' Seal Plus. We also have Stampin' Seal, just the regular seal, which would be totally fine for what I'm doing here. But I use my Seal Plus more than probably anything else, that and the multi-purpose glue. So if you are a regular crafter like I am, I do recommend having additional adhesive, but just know if you are brand new to this or if you've never made a card before, you can stick to the adhesive that comes in the kit and you're going to be just fine. These are the two cards from the Rock Legend kit. If you have a rock and roller in your life who would appreciate this, you have to get this kit. It's just so fabulous. But I also want to talk about why this kit is so great for alternates. And this is why. So I had actually pre-designed these cards prior to filming, and that's why you're seeing these pre-colored pieces for my alternates. The idea that came to me was from this black layer. So the black layer reminded me of a chalkboard. And, we are going to be going into, as we get into April, April is Autism Awareness Month or Autism Acceptance Month. And I was originally going to save this video for that, but I am so behind on making videos that I figured I better just post this. You can always thank a teacher anytime. We are very close to heading into Easter break right now. And we're also in the fourth quarter of the school year. And I think that this is sort of the home stretch for everyone. But I think that, the teachers and the aides that are helping in the rooms. Now I'm in a special needs circumstance. So it's a little bit different the way that, Connor's school is staffed. But I can tell you, no matter what school your kids or your grandkids or nieces or nephews are going to, that it's always nice to let them know that you are thinking of them, that they are doing a good job, that you appreciate them, that you understand how hard it is, right? So when I saw that layer looked like a chalkboard, that was the first thought that came into my head. And I have the Everyday Thanks stamp set, which is going to be retiring soon. It's still available as of the time that I am filming this video. That's the end of March. So our retirement lists have been announced. And this is a very odd way for me to stamp, but that one stamp, everything was very low. And I thought about trimming the top of the stamp off, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it this way because I was just trying to capturing it. So just really quickly going back to the card, that little banner that I just stamped, a sentiment from the By My Side stamp set here, that is actually the reverse side from the kit banner piece. So you can do whatever you want with these. You can really have fun with these. Just flip them over, stamp the other side. You're still going to be able to use your kit pieces. You're still going to be able to use your favorite stamp sets, whatever you have on hand. But once I started really looking at Rock Legend, I realized between the yellow, the red, the white, the black, I thought, oh my gosh, this is really primary color. This is perfect for thanking teachers. It's perfect for thanking doctors, nurses. We could use this for a completely different thing. So the By My Side stamp set, I just absolutely adore the sentiments. I think that the little kids in that are just really adorable. I think that there's so much personality in that. Everyday thanks. You can thank a teacher. You could thank a coach. It could be sports related. It could be for a doctor or a nurse. You'll see that. You'll see that stamp set coming in here in a minute. You can add in your own ribbons like I'm doing here. This is the metallic woven ribbon in Sweet Sorbet, which is a retiring in color. As we get close to these retiring in colors, I try to use up my product because I don't like to show it once the items are gone, just for your sake, so that you can still get, these things for you. And then the dies here, I did have it pulled up, but I will bring it back up again. It's Everyday Essentials. Let me see if I can find it. But in the meantime, before I get into, because we'll be die cutting, so we'll come back to this in a minute. But you can add a little touch of sparkle with the metallic woven ribbon, and that comes in all 5 in colors from the 2022-2024 in colors. And I should probably say while I'm talking here that if you want to stock up on any of those 2022, 2024 in colors, which would be Parakeet Party, Sweet Sorbet, Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis, Tahitian Tide, that you want to do that as soon as possible, because once those products are gone, typically they're gone. So here I'm going back to the alternate process here. And this, I'm going to talk a little bit about Paper Pumpkin too. So let me just pull this here. Sorry, you guys can't see behind the scenes, but I just want to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm doing is I want to utilize the liner pattern on the envelope. This is one of the top things, probably one of the most common things that I do when I am making alternates from a Stampin' Up kit. Okay, so I do this almost every month with my Paper Pumpkin alternates. And now that I've gotten a few kit collection kits and I've seen the different patterns that they have on the envelopes here, this is a common thing. So I'm doing this with the kit collection kit as well. So they're great patterns. We're going to be able to use them for different things. Let me find out what that die set is called so I don't tell you the wrong thing. Hold on. It's the Everyday Details dies that we are using right now. Great rectangles, circles. There's some patterns that you can cut into paper. They're fabulous. I love them. You'll be able to use this with a lot of your, rogue or independent stamp sets. It was perfect for the Everyday Thanks stamp set. I could tell you that. One thing that I would change about the card that I am working with right now is that I felt like I used a little bit too big of a rectangle underneath my pencil rectangle. And you'll see me sort of correcting that in future projects. Now, I knew I was going to be doing some coloring with my Stampin' Blends, so I am inking these images in the Memento Tuxedo black ink. Now, just keep in mind, Rock Legend, the kit itself, is all consumable pieces. There's no ink pad in there, and there's no stamp set in there. So you'll be bringing in your own inks and your own stamp sets. Everyday thanks. I absolutely adore that. And like I said, it's retiring. By My Side is a stamp set that is also retiring. So if you like those, or if you want to get those, I highly recommend that. Now I'm going to walk you really briefly through the Stampin' Blends that I'm using to color my pencil here. You could use whatever color combination you want. You can have so much fun with these. I'm doing very simple, basic coloring on these particular cards. So this is Crumb Cake Light that I am using for the wooden part of the pencil. And then I'm just doing a second go round with the color there. And then I'm going to be using Wild Wheat Light for like the pencil base. This is actually a Stampin' Write marker. I just love the black. I love the basic black in my Stampin' Write marker, and I tend to use that if I want a very opaque black on things, like, freshening up an eyeball on, an eye of a character or something like that. And there I used it for the pencil tip. This is Wild Wheat Light, and I'm just, using the same color going completely over it. I'm going to use Smoky Slate. I can't remember if it's light or dark that I grabbed here, but I'm just using that for the little piece here. And oh, that's the Smoky Slate Dark. And then I'm using Moody Mauve for the eraser, and I'm using Moody Mauve Light. Now, our Wink of Stella pen has been on back order for a long time. I believe it's supposed to come back in May, but I am going to use just a touch of it here in this video. This is Pool Party Light, and this is a completely optional thing. I like to do a little bit of an outline with Pool Party Light or Pool Party Dark, just to kind of break up the white against the actual image. So this is what it looks like. It's pretty subtle when it's done, but it just looks like a little bit of like a shadow outline. Now here's my Wink of Stella. I'm only going to put it on the part that would be metal on the pencil. So it's just a really, really light touch. Many of you have lots of Wink of Stella at home, but if you are in a position where you're waiting for it to come back into stock, hang in there. It will be back, I promise. Okay, so here is the card, and I'm just showing you the layer. So that was what I added in from the Rock Legend kit. And then I brought in this DSP in Wild Wheat. This is our in color DSP 2023-2025, that striped pattern in Wild Wheat that I thought would be really cool to use with the card. Now, I did really love using the card bases for these alternate cards from the Rock Legend kit, but I'm also making some of my own card bases. One of the things that I like to do when I am making alternates is I like to try to find similar patterns or similar colors and papers as the kit. So I made some basic black card bases. I grabbed this coordinating DSP. I'm just trimming this down to size, and we're going to go ahead and use that as a layer on our card. I believe that that is 4 by 5¼ inches, because this panel that comes from the kit is slightly smaller than that, and I thought it framed it in really nicely. I thought about doing a thinner sort of banner or rectangle over the pencil, and then I thought, no, I'm just going to leave the pencil. So you can play with this and find, what you feel is the best fit. I did start changing the way that I was stamping the greeting, alongside or along with the image on future cards, but for this first one, I did it separately. And like I said, this pencil image and then the thanks that I'm going to be using, the thanks stamp, is from Everyday Thanks stamp set, which is a retiring stamp set. Okay, so in the future, I probably would use a different size rectangle, but I did use the smallest rectangle from the Everyday Details dies, right along with our pencil, which is on a slightly larger rectangle from the Details dies, the Everyday Details dies. And now I'm bringing in this ribbon, also in Wild Wheat. So Wild Wheat is one of our 2023-2025 in colors. I was doing these in threes for some reason. There's no particular reason for it. I guess I was just in the mood to do strips of 3. And what I typically do is I will tuck the ends of a ribbon on the back of a pattern. I didn't measure this. I didn't mark it exactly. I was just trying to eyeball it and get them, to a layer or to spread out to a point that I was like happy with the 3. And I actually really loved the way that this turned out. I did have a little bit of excess ribbon that I cut off, but loved the Wild Wheat elements with these cards too. So if you are making a card from scratch, like if you're watching this right now and you don't have the Rock Legend kit, you can certainly substitute and use other things. Just grab a piece of, black and white DSP, grab your your in color DSP, grab your black and white, cardstock, and you could just kind of make similar things. But this is a lot of fun, and I think this is a great way to let the helpers know that you are thanking them and appreciating them. I think that Rock Legend, while it was designed to be fun and funky and for music and all of that, and it fits that bill, it also is really perfect for, I think, the educational setting. So my son Connor in particular, he gets different therapies he's at a specialized school, and he gets different therapy services there. And one of the services that he gets and that he loves, and I mean really truly loves, is music therapy. And one of the instruments that they use in music therapy is a guitar. And he was strumming the guitar. And then another instrument that they use are the drums. So for me, the Rock Legend kit appeals directly to that music therapy teacher or the music therapist, just depending on, how you want to phrase it or, say thanks or whatever. So if you are in a situation or a circumstance similar to me where maybe your child is taking music classes, like maybe they're learning an instrument, maybe they are in a school play or something like that, and you're going to get them a card or flowers. Like, how cool would it be to actually customize it and make it? And they get a card from you that has, the drumsticks or that has the guitar on it. But if you do need to change this, I'm sure that many of you, like me, who do, purchase stamps regularly, have many different themes that you could turn this into something else. And if you're in a different stage of life and maybe you're not at a point where you're thanking teachers, or maybe you're a retired teacher, maybe you're in a different phase where you might be thanking, doctors or nurses, or you might be thanking certain professionals who come in to help you with things that you don't do anymore, right? I am having my first brush with poison ivy, and it is the most minimal, small, tiny amount of poison ivy a person could have, and I'm being such a baby about it. So, you might have people coming and helping with landscaping or anything like that. So any different stamp sets that you have could really transform this kit. Okay, so here we have our thanks card. I did bring in some of our in color dots in wild wheat as well that stand out beautifully against that black layer from the Rock Legend kit. And then on the inside, I had a leftover strip of DSP, so I just added it to the inside layer. Typically, when I cut the layer for the inside of my card, it's almost always 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches in basic white, and that is the case with this card as well. And here I am just going through different stamp sets to see if I want to do a customized greeting on the inside of my card that would fit thanking a teacher. Okay, and then for this next round, we're going to be taking a closer look and doing a little bit of coloring for if you do want to thank a coach, or if you do want to thank a doctor or a nurse or a therapist. We go a lot to speech therapy, to occupational therapy. I know that there are a lot of kids that go, and I mean adults too, who go to physical therapy. So just depending, like I wish that I had a stamp set that was customized to those particular fields. But I also realize that that is very, that's a very particular occasion and not exactly, like global or the most popular. So, we make do with that by doing like thank yous and stuff. So, Anyway, we're going to get into coloring those, but I'm still with the Everyday Details dies here. You can see I'm just using my little pokey tool from the Take Your Pick tool. I just removed it from the Take Your Pick tool. You can remove them and switch sides and things like that. It's a cool interactive tool, and I'm just kind of popping out a couple of those little leftover dots that I had from what I cut out from these rectangles and circles here. And we're going to do just a little bit of coloring. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea as to the colors that I chose to use, for these particular images from the Everyday Thanks stamp set. But of course, if this isn't for you, you could always just fast forward to the next part. We'll be doing by my side and working with the kid characters in the next 5 minutes of the video or so. But here, I absolutely love the whistle. The whistle could be different things to different people, just depending. I think it does cover a large area of sports, and you can make that for many different people. So here, I wanted to give a little bit of shine to the whistle. And here you can see I'm cutting in the slightly larger rectangle. And that was because this time around, I wanted to have the image from Everyday Thanks, and I wanted to have the greeting on the same thing. Instead of trying to do two different rectangles, this was how I sort of altered that and made that change. Many different ways that you could go about doing this, but I just decided to simplify it and really make it a little bit more about the coloring. Now, the coloring, that said, the coloring is also very simple. And I was moving from room to room, and I couldn't find my smoky slate combo. I had one but not the other, so I ended up grabbing gray granite, and I'm going to use gray granite on the one that I'm coloring here with you, but I used the smoky slate combo on the original whistle, so you'll get to see both of those in the comparison of what the difference between the two look like. So there are two different tips on our Stampin' Blends. There is like a brush tip, which is what I'm using right now, and then there's like a bullet tip. And I'm using the dark gray granite about halfway on the side of the whistle, and then I'm bringing in the light gray granite to fill in the rest. And then up on the top, I was doing little stroke patterns about halfway in on the whistle, and that's because I'm going to leave a white area on the center so that it looks like it has a reflection, basically that there's light reflecting off of the top of it. So now I'm coming in with the dark, and I'm doing the same exact feathering. I'm just sort of layering it over, and then I'm leaving a little bit of white in the center so that it has the appearance that there's just a tiny little bit of a reflection. I brought in the Stampin' Right marker in basic black to color in that little hole in the bottom of the whistle. And then I brought in Moody Mauve for the little heart that's on that string. You don't have to color that, but I chose to. And now I'm bringing in Pool Party. So again, very basic coloring, very similar concept where I just want this little bit of a shadow, this little bit of an outline against the white of the cardstock here. And then the whistle and the thanks greeting were both stamped in Memento Tuxedo Black ink because that actually works really well with the alcohol-based markers, which is what Stampin' Blends are. I'm outlining thanks in Moody Mauve Light, and now here I'm trying to show you the difference between the whistle with and without the Wink of Stella. And now I decided to add my Wink of Stella in so that this whistle will shimmer. But you certainly don't have to do that unless that's a little touch that you want to add to it. And now here, this is one of the card bases from the Rock Legend kit. And we are going to be bringing in our own coordinating cardstock shade as an accent to go with it. So I am bringing in the Moody Mauve cardstock here, and I'm just trying to cut this 1/4 inch wider than the rectangle itself. I don't remember the particular measurement as I'm sitting here, but it's it's a pretty basic measurement. I will get the measurements and I will put it in the description of the video so that you have it. I don't have a project sheet for these cards. Unfortunately, it was just going to take too much time. I'm really behind, but I will have that coming back for future cards and videos. Now, one of the best things about having dies that cut these little, circles or these little dots into the pattern is that you can use those to attach ribbon. And so I literally just strung a little bit of that metallic woven ribbon in Sweet Sorbet, which actually matches Moody Mauve really well. It looks more pink. So I just put a little strip around the center there, and then I just tied a little bow right up in the top corner and just threaded it through that little corner dot there. And it's just a really simple little touch that adds just a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of a feminine touch there. So I just wanted you to see that you could work with a different color outside of red and yellow, or, pool party, colors that come outside of the kit. Like, I know we're working with a lot of primary colors here, but I wanted to do at least one card that showed you a little bit more of a softer side if you do want to modify. And those are those in color dots in Moody Mauve as well. And so that's just to show you a little bit of a difference from what it looked like from the original card. And then we are going to get into our next alternate here, which is the Band-Aid. Okay, so originally when I was making the Band-Aid card, I had colored the heart in Moody Mauve because that was the color that I had with me. And I decided to change it to real red because I wanted to use a little bit more of the primary color for the medical thank you card. So, okay, so here we are bringing in that liner from the envelope. I thought this was a really cool pattern in the black and white, and we are just trimming this down to the 4 by 5 1/4 inch size. And then we're going to bring in a couple of, different elements here. You can always play with this and see what works. When I held up the Moody Mauve against the yellow and the black and the white, I felt like it didn't quite fit as well. This is one of the things that you can really lean on in terms of the design from the Kits Collection team, that designed this kit. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use the back of one of the cards for a layer, right? So I'm reinforcing that yellow layer and just trimmed it to that size again, that rectangle size again. I have to get that for you. I'll put it in the description. And then this is where I decided to change it to red. So I just brought in the Real Red Dark. I think that's Real Red Dark, and just colored over the heart. So you can do that. If you change your mind with Stampin' Blends, as long as you're going darker with your color, you can slightly alter and change the color if you change your mind. You don't have to feel completely locked into it. Now, if that was a really deep color like Night of Navy or something like that, you could try to use your color lifter, but color lifter is not an eraser, so that might not work. Just depending. So here, going back to those in color embellishments, which I brought in a lot for the alternates on these cards. This is the Sweet Sorbet Twine from the 2022-2024 in color twine pack. So it's all 5 in colors in this pack of twine. This is a great resource, particularly I think for this type of theme, if you want to add embellishments. And if you have like the natural color twine, or you have any like black or white twine that's left over from your paper pumpkin kits or kit collection kits, get those out, because those are going to be great to use with this kit as well, particularly if you are making alternates like we are. Okay, and then just real quick, this measurement for the layer behind this rectangle is 2.5 by 4 1/8 inches. So there you go. I found it. But here we are just finishing up this card with the embellishments from the kit, these fabulous matte stars in real red, and it just matches so beautifully to that colored heart in the center. Okay, and so here we're going to get into our last alternate card. This last alternate card was the one that was the most work, right? So this would be a card from the heart. This would be something for somebody that would be really special, right? Because we're going to be doing a couple of techniques with this one. So we are using the kids from the By My Side stamp set here. Again, I'm using that Memento Tuxedo black ink. We're going to be doing more coloring with our Stampin' Blends. Again, the coloring is going to be basic, but the fun element that we're going to bring in with this is we're going to do a little bit of paper piecing for their clothes. And the paper piecing is going to be from the patterns inside this kit. So you will see me stamping these images twice, but the image isn't as important on the pattern because all we need is the piece of clothing that we're going to be cutting out. And you'll see what I mean about that here in a second. Now here is that other liner that we are going to use for this little girl's dress. And then this was the toughest one because it's hard to see when you stamp it. So just be aware of that. You know, you might want to just stick with a different color or a different pattern DSP. The black and white one was a little bit of a challenge, but I was able to do it. So here I'm taking my paper snips. These are absolutely fantastic scissors for detail cutting, like paper piecing. And one of the things that can happen is when I'm filming and I'm trying to cut and I'm trying to stay in camera, sometimes I need, like, the paper piecing, the cutting is so detailed that like I have to have it closer to my eyes and it can go a little bit out of focus when I'm cutting it. So I apologize for that, but you get the idea. Basically, you just want to cut out the dress and we're going to add that later. But I decided to do my coloring with the Stampin' Blends for the kids first. Now I'm using the Natural Tone Stampin' Blends to do this. I put just a little touch of Pool Party on the edge where her glasses are, but I did a skin tone for the rest of it. So totally up to you how you want to color her or how you want to do that. But I am using, this is 900, which would be from the light combo for her skin tone here. And then we're going to use that Real Red pattern for her dress. And then I think I'm using 300, which would have been not the dark combo, but I think like the medium dark combo is what they call it now, for her hair tone. So you could use any browns that you have, or if you want to, you know, change her hair color to something else. I thought about doing her hair in black, and then I changed my mind. And the curly haired girl, I was originally going to do her hair in red, and then I ended up doing her hair in black. So you can just change it up as you go. You can coordinate it to match the card. You could coordinate it to whatever you want. But you can see how just that very simple element of paper piecing really brings this to life. Same thing whenever you are cutting out these little characters. So we're going to be doing some paper piecing here. Now, don't feel like you have to do paper piecing. In the very end of this video, I stamped this same image on the reverse side of those little triangle die cuts inside the kit. It fits perfectly. The kids fit perfectly in these little triangles. And it's a good way to use the die cut element without having to do any fussy cutting. So I don't want to deter you from this project just because I chose to do some fussy cutting. If that is something that you enjoy, I enjoy fussy cutting. I enjoy paper piecing. I enjoy things like that. But if that is not your style, just know you can stamp and color this onto one of the die cuts from the kit and it will be just as fabulous. But I knew I wanted to layer these kids in a particular way on this card. I would say that this card would absolutely be for a teacher. You know, whether you're doing a teacher, a principal, you know, something like that, an assistant principal, it would be, I think, very heartfelt. I think that they would really, really appreciate a card like this, particularly because they're constantly doing like arts and crafts projects or things like that and getting handmade cards from the kids in the class. So it would be fun to get a handmade card from, I think, one of the parents or families, just depending on how you do that. Now, if you guys remember Charlie Brown, the artwork for, like, the style of art for the characters of these kids reminds me so much of the Charles Schulz um, kid art, right? Like, it reminds me so much of Charlie Brown. So I loved that yellow because Charlie Brown was always either in like yellow and black or, you know, yellow and dark brown, whichever the color was. And I thought I would love to do this kid's shirt in yellow. So I did go back to the light combo. This is the lightest Stampin' Blend in the natural tone blends, which has a little bit of a pinky tone. It reminds me a lot of Petal Pink. And then I did his hair in Wild Wheat. And the reason that I did that was because it was close. It was close to me. But you could do whatever combination you want. I brought in the dark Wild Wheat because I really wanted him to look like he kind of had like a dirty blonde hair type thing. And I kind of wanted it to coordinate with his shirt, if I'm being honest with you. So the color in the kit is, I think it's either Crushed Curry or Daffodil Delight. I have the piece of paper right here. But they all sort of, mix and match, even if they're not a 100% match. It's Crushed Curry. So it's that deeper yellow tone from the kit. But it works beautifully with Daffodil Delight. It works beautifully with Wild Wheat, like those other yellows that we have in our collection that you can use with this. So I did decide to fussy cut the characters before I put the glue on the paper piecing, like piece of clothing. I just thought it would be easier. And I always keep little pieces of scrap paper around, like on the table, just for whatever reason. And a lot of times I will use bits and pieces of paper to smooth out my multi-purpose glue if I really needed to be all over the piece, which was the case with these paper piecing like outfits and shirts and things. But even just this tiny little bit, I felt like added so much character to these little kids. So while this isn't something that I do all of the time, I absolutely love bringing in this technique. And this is such a great way to use these leftover kit pieces on your stamps, right? Like, keep this in mind. This is such a great little fun standout technique that you can use with pieces from a very inexpensive kit like the Rock Legend kit. Like, I really felt like it made it. Now, I'm trying to remember which color brown this was. I felt like this was like right in the medium dark category. It wasn't the darkest of the colors, but it was sort of in the medium darks. So I want to say it was like 300 or 400. I'm trying to remember. Almost looks like a latte color. So even if you're in the mediums or however you want to do that. And then I brought in basic black light for her hair. I thought about, sometimes I will mix basic black in a Stampin' Blend along with the basic black in the Stampin' Write marker, because the Stampin' Write has like a really narrow tip that you can kind of do some drawing with. I really love bringing that element into it sometimes if I can. And you can like do little squigglies in her hair. But honestly, her hair, the personality from the stamp art came through so well that I felt like I didn't need to add it. So you can if you want to. Now you'll notice that each of these little characters had a little animal or a little insect with them. So like the little girl in the red dress had a bird. This little girl that I'm cutting out here had a butterfly, and the little boy had a dog. And while I absolutely love animals, I decided not to include those on this particular alternate card. I just focused on the kids because those things are typically not allowed in a school setting, right? But we can certainly use them for other things. I actually used By My Side for some Halloween projects back at Halloween time. So I feel like this is a really versatile stamp set. And like I said, By My Side is also retiring. So one thing that I can talk about while I'm doing this fussy cutting and adding her dress here is that our current annual catalog is going to be retiring. They've announced the retiring items. The retiring items, they always say a select number of those items will go on sale. They will go on clearance, and that will happen starting April 8th. So I will be sending out those lists. I'll be sending them out by email, trying to get caught up on some of the things that I missed. Didn't her little dress turn out so cute? I loved it in the black and white pattern, by the way. So, so cute. But yeah, our annual catalog is retiring. We're going to have a new catalog kicking off in May. We're going to, demonstrators are able to pre-order from that new catalog coming up here soon. And we'll be talking more about that. We've gotten a sneak preview of the new in colors, which are absolutely fabulous. So there's going to be a lot to talk talk about coming up here in April leading into May, but our spring catalog is also going to be retiring. So there's a lot that's been going on. So just, stay tuned for more information. I'll be having more information coming out on those things on my email list here in the next week or so. But, going into Autism Awareness Month or Autism Acceptance Month in April, I will be doing a couple of projects that will be friendly for kids or things like that. And one of the things that I did not get to talk about, and what you're seeing here is just my process of making a card. So if I'm trying to find my layout and I'm trying to find my pattern and I'm trying to find my way, I wanted all 3 kids on this card, and I was trying to not cover up the vellum star, but I wanted the vellum star there. And I was like, what can I do here? How can I figure this out? And I wanted to say you're a legend, but I didn't want it to be about music. I wanted it really to be like, you're a legend as a teacher. You're a legend as a professional. You're a legend as my direct support person, my paraprofessional, right? So one of the greatest, easiest things that you can do with this is add a little bit of color to this pre-printed card with Stampin' Blends. Look at how that changes the card. Is that fabulous? That's Daffodil Delight Dark, by the way. And it was just a very simple color layer. You don't even have to color the whole thing if you're going to add a layer over top like we did. And you can go ahead and, figure in these kids. Now, the main difference that I kept promising to tell you between Kids Collection and Paper Pumpkin is that Paper Pumpkin is a subscription box that comes to your door every month, and Kit Collection is something that you can shop kits anytime. Kids Collection range. They have a wide range to them. They might be very inexpensive. They might have a stamp set. They might not have a stamp set. They might be all paper. They might be all cards. They might be 3D projects. But they have a wide range to them. They have a range in pricing. They have a range in themes, and you can go in and shop those whenever you want at StampinUp.com, including the Rock Legend kit. Paper Pumpkin is a little bit of a teaser. You don't know exactly what you're getting in the box until you get it. Like, we can show you something. We can show you some teasers, but we can't show you everything until it arrives, right? Like, we don't even know until it comes to our door. And you have to be subscribed by the 10th of the month every month if you want to get that month's kit. So there are different ways that you can subscribe. You could do monthly subscriptions, you could do prepaid subscriptions, and then those come to your door monthly. But once that month's subscription box is done, typically it's done and you can't get it again unless it becomes available as a pass kit 3 months later. But Kids Collection, you can order multiple quantities of it. You could order it anytime. You know exactly what you're getting in the box. So those are the main differences there. So like I had said earlier in the video, if you're still with me, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here and staying until the end. And if you are willing to leave me a comment, let me know. Are you interested in seeing alternates from Kit Collection kits? Would you like to see more of this? I do alternates for Paper Pumpkin kits every month. I adore Paper Pumpkin. But like I said, it's a little bit different than Kids Collection. Paper Pumpkin always has a stamp set. Paper Pumpkin always has an ink spot in it. Kids Collection may not, right? So this is where we sort of bring in our own stamps and our own dies and our own colors and embellishments. And those sum up the alternates for our cards. Now, just very quickly before I end this video, I wanted to show you, even though I'm not going to color it, I wanted to show you how to use this piece, the reverse side of this piece. This is the By My Side stamp set. This little rectangle that has these, other languages that say you're a legend in another language. I'm just using the back of it. This is a really common size rectangle, so many of your different phrases or greetings will fit on the back of it just fine. And now I'm going to bring in this little triangle, and I'm just going to show you how well the same character fits if you don't want to fussy cut. And I apologize that you guys are hearing my text message going on, but you see that? So if you don't want to cut it, you could just color your character right there, and you have an alternate use for these pieces if you're not using those other languages. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Give it a like and a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and give your helpers a shout out. Let them know that they're doing a great job. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.